Hello and welcome to Learn Spanish with Me number 4. Before we get right to it, I'm going to show you a couple new discoveries I made. First off, my phone was running out of battery and I figured, okay, what do I do? Just wait. But then I had a brainstorm. Wonder if they have Reverso Context online. And sure enough, boop, there we go. Context.reverso.net. I've got this set up to where it doesn't show the web address, but all you got to do is look up Reverso Context on your favorite search engine, and it'll show up, and it's just as effective, and if not a little more robust than the app version on my Android phone. I'm sure they've also got it on Apple too. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn. Also, while I was at it, I figured if I'm in a place where I can't really do a video with my webcams, but I do want to do it on my phone, I can actually do this with the screen recorder on my phone. And interesting thing here is I've got the PDF version on my phone of the book, but the problem is this one has less pages because I think they can cram a lot more words into a page that doesn't have a physical limitation, whereas digitally you can cram in as many words as you want and make the pages the size you want. So you'll notice if you look in the bottom right corner here, there's only 147 pages here, whereas our Spanish book here has 260, right? Not only that, my computer version right here, I've got this on my computer, then, right, this is page 46 of 327, right? So instead of 260, this is actually stretched out more. So these are all over the place, but the great thing is, I use a randomization for these, so it's not really absolutely essential that I have the same, pages be in the same places. All right, now, while we're here, check this out. I'm going to show you on my book here. Here's Chapter 4, El Guardián de las Llaves, right? And you can see from before, the keeper of the keys, right? So this is, of course, oops, there we go, Chapter 4. All right, the keeper of the keys, and this was kind of a gimme. All right, so I've got El Guardián de las Llaves, right? Keys is obviously llaves. Notice that 2 L's on the beginning there. Not laves, but llaves. Right, with a Y sound, and most, a lot of South American cultures will pronounce it with a little bit of a llaves. So it's kind of a cross between a j and a y, so llaves, right? Really, it's the Y sound with a lot of emphasis, llaves. Right? Okay, so you'll notice something kind of interesting here. On my book, there's capital letters here with the Spanish inverted exclamation points, right? Zas, right? So what does Zas mean? Well, let's take a look over here at our English version, right? And you'll see smash. This is where Hagrid's bashing in the door of the lighthouse when he's knocking on it, and trying to give Harry the invitation to Hogwarts, and he just bashes it right to the floor, swung clean off its hinges. All right, now here's an interesting thing. I'm going to show you this on my phone here. All right, and take a look what this says. Un golpe violento, right? Un is a, golpe is a hit, like, something smacks against something, it crashes against something. There's actually earlier in the book, there was where Ron's rat, Mr. Scabbers, makes a golpe against the window of the train, right? Violento, of course, means violent, so a violent hit or a violent crash, right? So notice there's 3 different versions here. English, of course, is smash. The book version, the physical book version, is zas, and this is un golpe violento, a violent crash. Now, which one do I prefer? This is really just a preference thing, and this also shows the different kind of ways you can translate this. If you have the English, somebody's job was to say, okay, what's the closest I can say in Spanish? But if you had a different translator, which this one obviously did, you might get a guy with a different opinion using different words that mean the same exact thing. Now, which one would I prefer? I'd actually prefer zas, even though that doesn't make sense to me as an English speaker. Crash or smash is so much more of an onomatopoeia. In other words, it sounds, the name of the word sounds like the sound it makes. Smash, right? Or, an onomatopoeia example is drip, drip. Sounds like, it has the sound of the sound it makes in the name. But notice zas is one word that just kind of means crash, whereas this un golpe violento is a violent crash, and it kind of just doesn't have the same kind of boom, kind of sound to it that zas does, smash. So this might be a cultural thing. Who knows? I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn here. It might even be something that's Spanish versus Mexican. South American, Mexican, Spanish. Just like in English, or in Britain, the word for potato chips are crisps. If I'm thinking correctly, an elevator is a lift. We don't say that in America, but we speak the same language. Or do we? It's one of those kind of things where even, from New York to Georgia to California, sometimes we can't even freaking understand each other if we're talking fast, with our accents. So there's a lot of leeway here, but, the whole idea is the more randomization here, the better. Because we're trying to learn in kind of a random fashion, just coming up with, seeing, what we come up with, what we stumble upon. Another note here. At first, I had the tendency to want to write all the new words I learned down. And then I realized that the words that are important, that need to be learned, come up again and again anyway. And it was actually kind of a waste of time for me to write something down, unless it was particularly interesting to me, and I'm like, oh, that's a cool word. I gotta remember that one, right? But in terms of just kind of taking notes, I recommend you don't. Actually, just if you see a word, you're probably gonna forget it like 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9 times. It's super annoying for me, but every time I forget it, instead of looking up where was that word, I smack my head and go, oh, there's that stupid word again. Oh, it's so frustrating. And then each time I see it, oh yeah, that's what it meant. Okay. It reinforces it more in my head. This is the way we learned when we were kids. We're flipping through even just picture books, and we're like, what does that word mean? And then it keeps coming up again and again. It's just sort of a natural flow. So I actually recommend you don't take notes. Don't write anything down unless you find it particularly interesting, like, oh, this is too cool a word not to set aside, right? Sometimes I'll make notes, on words that sound alike and they're confusing. I'll share them sometime, but just go with the flow. We're going to go through so many different examples that those words that are important are going to come up again and again and again and again, and it's just going to reinforce itself. It kind of has a self-correcting way of doing things. Okay, so let's get right to it. Let's go with the random number generator. Boop. All right. Going to go with the book here today, of course. We might do different versions later, but boom, 62. All right, so we got page 62 here, paragraph 4, section 4. All right, page 62. Over to our workspace here. All right, number 4. All right. So let's go ahead and start it right here But before we do, we can't avoid, I try not to look at the rest of the stuff to give it away, but this is a huge giveaway. El Callejón Diagon. Remember those two L's? The Y sound, Callejón. Some Spanish speakers might say Callejón, right? Callejón Diagon. Now, this is a really clever thing. Some of you might have already figured it out. This is Diagon Alley, which is a play on words in English with the Harry Potter thing, diagonally, right? But this is pretty neat. Callejón. Let's actually look that up in our handy new Reverso Context. This is going to be so much cooler. Oops. Because I can actually type it out faster. Callejón. But of course I won't be able to have the accents. Of course I can take their suggestions and let's go with it. All right. So alley, alleyway, cul-de-sac, lane. It's an alley. Diagon alley, right? So the word calle, this is why it's important to know certain words in Spanish that will maybe help you figure out other words. I already knew calle, right? Some of you who've been to Miami might have been to the famous Calle Ocho, Street 8. So calle means street, right? So callejón is kind of a derivative of that. Callejón, calle. Right, so looking at callejón, I could figure out, oh, that's some kind of street something or other. Some words, of course, sound a lot alike and mean something completely different, but in this case, this is pretty handy. Okay, so callejón diagon, right? Oops. And of course, diagon meaning diagonally, right, or diagonal, right? So callejón diagon, this is pretty cool. They actually managed to have a Spanish translation that kind of had a cool rhyme to it. Callejón diagon. As far as I'm concerned, like in either language, this is kind of the cooler version. Diagon alley is a clever play on words, but Callejón diagon, kind of has a cool ring to it, in my opinion. Okay, so here we are. Harry se puso de pie. Right? That's Harry se, to him. Right, is the rough translation. Puso, I think, comes from poner, which is to give. No, we'll look that up. De pie. Pie means foot, not to be confused with piedra. Right, foot. On foot, you might have seen like a street near you called Piedmont. Right. Piedmont, pie or pied is foot. Again, just a coincidence with piedra. Mont means mountain. Piedmont or Piedmont means foot of the mountain. It kind of brings things together. There's a lot in English. There's a lot of borrowed words from other languages because we're a melting pot, of all kinds of different cultures and languages, right? So, puso de pie. So let's see. Let's see what puso means. Puso. Whoops. Put or made, became. I'm thinking put or, let's say put or made, which in this case means Harry to himself put on foot. Harry got to his feet. Right? Tan feliz como si un enorme globo se expandiera en su interior. Tan is usually so or as much as. We're going to look that up. Feliz is happy. Feliz Navidad. Merry Christmas, right? Feliz como, like or as, or like unto. See, here's our example. We've talked before about that accent. Sometimes you got to look really close. No, it's just a dot, right? The C, S-I with an accent, that means yes, see. Would you like some more food? See, right? The reason I say it like that is because it helps me remember. If it's got an accent, see is very, confident and excited, whereas this is si. That means if. All right, so two words spelled exactly the same, but it's got a slightly different I, which in Spanish counts as a completely different letter. Looks alike, but it's not the same. So so happy, like if, or as if, an enormous or big, globo, let's call it globe or ball, se expandiera, to him, I'm thinking was expanded, en su interior. En su means his or her or its, in his insides, interior, like an interior designer, right? Harry got to his feet as happy, right? I think this is as in this case, as happy as if a giant ball were expanding in his insides. Okay, he's super happy about something. This is Callejon Diagon. I think it's the next morning when he got up in the lighthouse. Well, let's see. Fue directamente a la ventana y la abrió. He went. Fue is a past tense of ir, which is to go. So fue, he went. Directamente, whenever we have mente in Spanish, it's basically an equivalent of our English ly. So you could say happily, or you could say felizmente. I don't know if that's a word, actually. Might be. But directamente, directly, right? A la, to the. Ventana is a window. You want to ventilate your house, ventilate, ventana. Ventilate your house, open the windows. La ventana. He went directly to the window and la abrió. In this case, la does not mean the. It means, it has that la in front of the verb, which is, and to it, or at it, he opened, right? He went directly to the window and opened it. El bujo is an owl. That's his owl Hedwig. Bajo, I think bajo means below, but let's actually check this with the accent. It could mean something different. The reason I know it's below is because, like I said, other words will help you learn other words. So Baja California, basically it's geographically below California. Baja or bajo means below, and that's a real easy way to remember it there. So bajo. Let's see, there's the accent. Went down. It's the verb version of down, right? So to go down. Now check this out. If I just do without the accent, it means under. Once again, that accent completely can change the word to something else. Okay, so let's see here. Oops. All right, so the owl, bajo, went below, en picada y dejó el periódico sobre Hagrid. Bajo en picada. Ooh, I'm running out of time. I better wrap this up. Okay, so I think this is the next morning. And I think, yeah, that's right. Hagrid spent the night at the lighthouse, didn't he? Downhill nosedive into a dive. Right, so where is it? El bujo bajo en picada went down in a nosedive and dejó el periódico sobre Hagrid. And periódico is a periodical, a newspaper or magazine. All right. Sobre means on top of. All right. Hagrid. So I'm thinking dejo probably means to drop. I've seen dejar before, but let's see if I'm right. Dejo. Was that the... Oh, dejo with an accent. See, something different. And stop, dumped. In this case, yeah, dumped or left. Dump the newspaper on top of Hagrid. So the owl dropped down in a nosedive en picada and dropped the newspaper on Hagrid. Que no se despertó. I am actually running out of time and I need to run, so this is just a quick one-off, but I think we know what's happening here. They just woke up in the lighthouse. I'd forgotten that Hagrid actually spent the night with them. Like he cares. He's, what are they going to do to him in his sleep, right? So this is the part where they're about to leave and go to Diagon Alley, El Callejón Diagon. So it wasn't actually that far past the chapter 4 I was talking about, and I could kind of tell I kind of cheated. I looked at the page number at 62, and page 50 was the Keeper of the Keys, right? Where he smashes the door down. Zas! All right. So, mission accomplished. This is the next installment. I'm going to probably follow up when I get a chance with that audiobook version. And hope you can join me next time. And I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. This is actually becoming kind of a fun thing for me to do, recording everything. So thank you for joining me with Learn Spanish with me, and we'll see you on the next installment.